Everybody, I got some things I've been thinking about based on questions I've been getting on the channel. Here I got some old coffee, so we're going to be talking a little bit about coffee today, a little bit about philosophy, native versus invasive species or introduced species, and so I'll take you on a little tour as I talk you through what's been on my mind. So here we're coming to a small coffee patch. This is what I would refer to as old coffee. This is a pruning technique that they do with the coffee. You cut it off and it resprouts. And you can see some of them are already producing. It'll have a nice little harvest coming up here. And so we've got these 5 coffee plants, more or less good looking. Now all of this that you see here, avocado tree and some lemongrass. We're here in Tangara 2, and it's a short little space here, and we've been pruning to open it up for light and thinking about what we're going to grow. We've got a lot of lemongrass and some fruit trees, but we have this little coffee patch to 5 plants. All of this used to be monoculture coffee. As far as the eye can see, all of this was monoculture coffee. And that's why I call little patches like this old coffee, because this is what the farm came with. We've never planted any coffee. We have done some experiments with seeds, but we've never really planted more than 1 or 2 plants of coffee, but the farm came with thousands of them. And when we started, we picked the coffee. We didn't have any really more additional investment. We had spent all the money on the land, and it came with a bunch of coffee, and so we started learning about coffee. And over the years, at some point we got fed up with coffee. We got tired of it. And we, from the beginning, had planting other things like this cassava. We've gotten pretty good at growing cassava and bananas. But coffee was like the cash crop. But we got fed up with it, and that maybe is a story for another time. But eventually the coffee was just not able to sustain our decision to live on the farm. We had to get some outside jobs. And this might be, here's another avocado. This might be where one of the questions I got comes in about, what percentage of native species do you leave? Here's a Biburno mercado de hacha, which I'm working at cropping. We identified this as a promising species. Taking care of crops takes time, and there's a time variable when you get your spreadsheet out and divide the time you spent versus the money that you made. Here's another kind of close to our coffee patch. So you see, we've pruned these and they're coming back, but at some point we got fed up with this coffee. It's complicated internationally, and it's one of the biggest crops, so it's got the most regulations and rules and control. And part of it could be Colombia's bad reputation. Exporting things from Colombia are subject to additional searches and seizures. But if I could grow anything, why would I grow the thing that was complicated? I would grow the easiest thing. And the easiest thing to grow are native pioneer species. They grow all by themselves. They come in, they're volunteers. And so there's a chilco and an espadero and the cabo de hacha. I mentioned this is the yarumo. They're here and they're helping for free. They didn't have to spend any time or money to put them in. So what percentage of native pioneer species do you think you would put? Well, you put as many. It's like an inverse. the more time you have, maybe the more things you would intentionally put in. And the less time and energy you have, the more you lean on the seed bank, especially an ecosystem like this, where a lot of permaculture and syntropics, they want to put in nitrogen fixers. Well, it turns out we got nitrogen fixers in a lot of them in the seed bank. They come and volunteer and spread their own seeds. I don't, unless we're going to another site, I don't spread this alcaparra chaparro. It spreads itself here around, and later on the ground down, he'll a little bit, another one will appear. He'll live a year and a half, produce a ton of seeds, fix nitrogen. And so I could have brought in pigeon pea. Maybe if I had more time or money, I might have done that. But luckily, I had no time or money, and I learned that the seed bank does a lot of these things for us. And we want to encourage that. We want a profitable trade-off with our time and our energy. We want to be able to farm in a way that makes sense. Maybe a lazy way to do as little as possible for the maximum effect. And I think a lot of people can agree on that. And coffee did not make the cut. And so we call it old coffee. We do have a couple of these patches. Well, maybe it's the first thing we did when we got the farm was we stopped using poisons. But we almost as quickly gave up on fertilizing. And so imagine a monoculture crop accustomed to being fertilized. You stop fertilizing it. Well, it doesn't last forever. But we managed to make it work for a few years. We learned a lot about coffee, and almost all of the coffee got twiggy because we weren't fertilizing it or weren't fertilizing it very much. And so we did the pruning method, the soca. We cut it off, and we decided to leave the pretty ones. And so we ended up with a patch of 5 coffee plants here, and there's 1 or 2 in other spaces. There's more patches as well. We probably still have hundreds of coffee plants scattered. And so I've been picking coffee actually the last couple of days, and that's a product we could still do. We'll roast it here at home. We'll drink the coffee, but we probably won't sell any to the Coffee Federation. We're identifying different crops now, fruit trees, wood, firewood, posts and handles, and trying to organize our systems. We left it alone, at least much further away from the house. We have left it alone a lot, and so there's a lot more native species. Now, upon entering and studying and perhaps applying additional management, we get to choose which native species we want to leave or want to take out to provide more space. And so that's kind of how we're working, and that's how we judge, I guess, how much native coverage we want to get. We took out an espadero tree here. It was getting pretty close to the power lines. And swing around here, this is Tangara 1. And we've cleaned out this area and replanted a lot of the garden stuff. Here we got our hands on a bag of pineapple tops, 60 pineapple plants. And so I'm letting them root out there. We cleaned them up. All you got to do is take off like the bottom leaves. This is the top of a pineapple. Any pineapple will do. You cut it off and then take off the first layer of leaves, and you start getting rooting in there. And so you put it in a humid area. And a few days of that, and then we'll plant them. Escaped pineapple. And so we do have some pineapple. I'm just reorganizing it into a row. And here's a lily patch. Here's some of our wood chips in action. And we're hanging the clothes out. So I guess this is where the tour ends before I embarrass myself. So I hope that answered some of the questions. It made me think a lot. These questions made me think quite a bit about the things that we do and how much of that is the result of our story, you know, how it all played out. And we've been here 10 years, and so maybe we're entering a new phase now. And this phase is a phase where we have a lot of native species, especially, as I said, I'm very close to the house right now. These areas look quite manicured and managed, and so I can show them off on video. But Murapo, this is one we're going to try to spread out. These are useful artisanal material. And so that's not the case. The manicuring stops a few meters down this way, and so as I continue to expand, we're finding a lot of native species. And Erythrina popadiana, that's another, I don't know what they call that one. And so I'm thinking that what I need to do is the two things I need to do: make a documentary kind of about our story. I could probably pin it to the YouTube channel, and then also do like a species by species video series where I show you different species. This one doesn't look quite as happy, but it's alive, it's got leaves, and it's got new buds. So we'll see how well this flowers in the upcoming days here. This is a coffee plant. And might be getting, I always thought it got too much wind from this edge of the farm, that they kind of got achilados for the wind. But he's alive. Doesn't have any friends around, but this one's made it. So that's the story of the old coffee. It's we stopped fertilizing it, we treated it poorly, and the only ones that are left are the ones that could take it, the tough cookies. Ooh. But no coffee rust. I'm happy about that. Talk to you next time, guys.